What if you became one of the most famous actresses in your entire country before you even finished high school? No acting classes, no connections, just a random audition that changed everything overnight. That is exactly what happened to Sophie Marceau. One day, she was an ordinary teenager, and the next, her face was everywhere. Stick around, because her story is full of surprising twists, tough choices, and a life that looks nothing like the typical Hollywood story you are used to hearing. Sophie Marceau was born in a suburb near Paris, France. Her family was not rich or connected to the film industry at all. Her father drove trucks for a living, and her mother worked in a shop. Nobody in her family had any background in acting or show business. Here is the surprising part. Sophie did not even want to be an actress at first. As a young teenager, she went along with a friend to an open audition just for fun, almost as a joke. She was not trying to launch a career. She was just a kid tagging along. But out of hundreds of people who showed up, she was the one chosen for the role. That one small decision to tag along with a friend changed the entire direction of her life. The film she was cast in became a massive hit in France. She played a teenage girl going through first love, and audiences connected with her instantly. She was not even 15 years old yet, and suddenly she was one of the most recognized faces in French cinema. Imagine going from a normal school schedule to being recognized everywhere you go, all before you are even old enough to drive. That kind of sudden fame could easily overwhelm anyone, especially a teenager. But Sophie kept working, taking on more roles and slowly building a career instead of disappearing after one lucky break, like a lot of child stars do. As she grew older, she kept challenging herself with different types of roles instead of sticking to the same type of character. She worked in serious dramas, historical films, and eventually crossed over into English-language movies too, including joining a major spy film franchise that introduced her to audiences far outside France. So, what does Sophie Marceau's actual lifestyle look like when she is not in front of a camera? She is known for being fiercely private compared to a lot of famous actors. She does not do constant interviews or share every detail of her life online. Instead, she is focused on keeping a clear separation between her public career and her personal world. She is also more than just an actress. Over the years, she has stepped behind the camera too, writing and directing her own films. That is not common for actors who became famous as teenagers. A lot of people expect them to just keep acting in whatever roles come their way. But Sophie chose to take control of her own storytelling instead of only relying on other people's scripts. She has talked in interviews about valuing her independence and not wanting fame to control her decisions. She has made choices throughout her career based on what interested her personally, even if it meant turning down bigger paychecks or more famous projects. Sophie has children, and like most areas of her personal life, she has kept details about her family mostly out of the spotlight. She has spoken about trying to give her kids as normal of a life as possible, despite growing up with a famous parent. She has also been honest in interviews about not always agreeing with how the entertainment industry treats women, especially when it comes to pressure around appearance and aging. Instead of staying quiet, she has spoken openly about wanting to age naturally and not feeling forced to fit unrealistic standards just because she is a public figure. That honesty has made her someone many people respect, not just for her acting, but for how openly she talks about real issues. Even after decades in the industry, Sophie Marceau has not disappeared or faded out like so many former child stars. She has continued acting, writing, and directing well into her adult life, proving that her career was never about one lucky audition. It was about consistently choosing projects that meant something to her. She has remained one of France's most respected actresses, admired not just for the roles she has played, but for how she has managed to stay true to herself throughout such a long and unpredictable career. Sophie Marceau's story started with a random audition she barely took seriously, and it turned into decades of acting, writing, directing, and staying honest about who she is. Her lifestyle today is built around privacy, creative control, and doing work on her own terms instead of chasing constant attention. If there is one thing to take from her story, it is that sometimes the biggest life changes start from the smallest, most unexpected decisions. If you enjoyed learning about her story, let me know in the comments who you want to see covered next.